Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's March 14th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And um, for the most part, it's just kind of a range day. We kind of lulled around between, we actually went as high as 2015, but most of the price action is really between 2012 and maybe 2003 down here. But most of the price action really stayed within about 2005 and 2010. So it wasn't much more than a 5 point range for the most part. However, I would say most of the afternoon was a trend up, and there's probably a bigger channel here, but you really didn't need it. You played this channel up, then you played the range here, and then you played the spike and channel up the rest of the day, and that really got you to where you need to be. It looks, just glancing at it, like there's probably another channel in here, larger channel, but like I said, it doesn't really matter much. Probably going to be like that with a midline in there. Yep, you can see that. And that might have, if you played that in there, that might have helped you a little bit with some of these longs in here. So, but anyway, it's there. I'm going to keep it out of the way just because I think it clutters it up. I want to show you the way I saw it and the way I played it. I played it a little shorter term that way. You can see the little channel working up. Then we went sideways, and then we had another spike in channel. And if you played that, you were pretty, you were pretty much in good shape. Like I said, you might have been tempted to take another trade or so in here, but you also might have got burnt right there on that long by playing that midline that I just took off. So, but anyway, let's back out and look at the bigger picture and go from there. The volatility's definitely slowed down. And some of these bars are rather large. If it keeps up, we may need to adjust our tick chart a little bit. But I'm hoping that it's just kind of maybe the volatility slowed down a little more because of the rollover the last couple of days. And so we'll see if it doesn't pick back up in a few days and the bars continue to be so big. We'll look at something a little bit different maybe. Um, but I didn't change it today. So, but anyway, first trade I saw was really after 8:30. We were just kind of going sideways from when I came in to that first right there at the open at 8:30, and they tricked everybody, oops, to the downside, and then it went higher. Um, this looked really range-like, and this looks like a failed break lower, although you really got a failed second entry short right there, so you might have considered that first. But look at all that overlap. I'll probably be willing to give that a green one just because notice your new low, first entry, pullback, second entry, and guaranteed some people got trapped there. It doesn't look like a whole lot because it did pull back and then go higher. But if you really wanted to be aggressive, you'd probably go long above that. And it is a failed second entry short in a downtrend. So um, actually, I say a downtrend. It looks more like a failed break lower, so that would lead you to believe we're going higher. And most breakouts to the down, most breakouts fail and they go back into the range anyway. Even if it's only temporary like this, then you turn down. And you would have looked for, once we started going lower, let me talk about these real quick. You look for a measured move down, and you see we came really close. We didn't quite get there, but it was really close within a couple of ticks. And then on the way up, you got your first leg up, and then once you started your second leg, you look for a measured move, and you see we got within a tick of that before it corrected, and it went a little bit higher for a new high. But anyway, I want to show you that before I forgot about it. So you had a failed second entry short on a failed break lower. Again, it's just so much overlap there that I think you're better off to wait. And then you get the failed second entry short on the bigger picture. Notice the new low, and it's like a first entry and a pullback second entry. Even though there's two little swings there, that's like a single move down and then another leg, and that bounces right off the trend line. So that's like your reversal type pattern, and it did kind of hold right there along the support resistance line and turned up. And so I like going long above that bar right there. And even though it's bearish, it's a trap. So I like it. And then notice you got a little resistance right across here. This is like a little repeat breakout pullback long, and it does. It bounces right off that trend line again. That's a pretty bullish bar. So I liked it. We weren't quite back up here to the highs. You can see that. And generally, when you get those little gap areas in there, um, this one closed and opened right there. There's a gap, and for whatever reason, it gaps over these trend lines. And a lot of times, that's a way to verify that your trend line is right. When you get that little gap through there, it did back on up and fill the gap, but you can see where it opened or it closed right there and opened right there and went higher before it turned down. So a lot of times that'll tell you you're on the right place when you have your trend lines in there. I'll see that a lot of times. It's amazing how often you'll see that. But you do get your break here, and notice this reversal pattern. This thing just shoots right through the EMA, tries to go higher and turns down right off the trend line. Big bearish bar. I like going short there. Generally, you like to wait for that failed second entry long, but the way we shot through the EMA and pulled right back to it and tested it and turned down, you know, that's telling you that this thing, they're piling back onto the shorts again. And you're looking for a retest of the low anyway and a measured move, hopefully. And off it goes. You really don't get another opportunity to enter. You get your failed second entry long here. Notice the new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and this is a big, huge move, and it kind of comes back to the EMA, turns down, and you figure it's going to test that low and probably make a new low. So I like taking that trap there. And it's not a very good signal bar, but again, it's like a failed second entry long, or it is a failed second entry long. So, and you're going to have people down here trying to pick lows, you know, pick bottoms, and they're going to trap them a couple of times maybe. And that's just a quick drop down. The good thing about this one is you probably would have had a runner on this one. So then of course you got your break, you make your new low, and you start working up a trend line right here. You can see that trend line. It's tempting to go long right there, and you really could have. I'm willing to make that one green, but and notice you got to move up, pull back, and move up. So you really got two legs up there. And if you went to a smaller chart, you'd see a failed second entry short right there. But I didn't like it just because it's right there at that trend line, and you never know when you're going to get one more push down. So if you waited, you got your sure thing failed second entry short. And look at this little reversal. So and this is actually a two-legged move back as well. And it is your first break of this channel, so you're probably going to retest that high. And it just takes off. This was a nice entry, and there's a little bit of a pullback right there, but if it had broke lower, I'd have said maybe, but it's right back into that previous support, and it did kind of turn down off of it right there. So you had to be a little bit leery of getting long right there into that double top. And if you just waited, you got a second entry long right here. Notice pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and notice how we're back inside the original support area up here, and notice how everything's closing inside there. Yeah, you got some stems down there, but it's those closes that tell you everything you need to know there. And this thing reverses again. It's a rather large bar. It is a little close to that high, but because it bounces off this range, you figure it's probably going to go test this high and maybe the overnight highs. And this is a nice move. You know, even though it's only, let's just see, I forget how many points it is. I mean, that's a 4 1/4 point move there. So, you know, you could have gotten, I would have looked to exit when it touched this upper side, and it actually shot through it a tick or two. And then now we reverse. We got a little trend working down. You really don't get a good chance. You get an entry right here, and it did break higher and turn down, but I think you need to wait and see if you don't get that failed second entry long, which you do get a failed second entry long right there. So it's possible you could go short, but look at that bar. It just and it actually went lower here and bounced and went up, so it was tempting to go long there, but I don't like the long setup either. But I don't think you want to go short there. If yours looks a little bit different, you might have considered, but it's right back into that support area, and look how it's holding again and how everything's bouncing. So I just don't think you can go short. And guess what? It turns down there and it traps everybody for the most part, and it gives you a chance to go long. So that's the reason you got to be careful when you've got a strong support resistance line like that of getting long or short into it, you really want to see it hold on the other side, or you want to have enough room to get out before you get to that line. Like here, you got enough room to get out. Here, you're right into it, so you can't go short, so you probably want a long off of it. And that's the same thing here. So, little failed break lower, chance to go long. There it goes. And it actually pulls back here and goes long again, but then you're right. There's some resistance running right across here. You can see I just moved my line over. It was over here. And you're right back into that. So you got to be really careful of getting long up in, right in here into that. You could have gone long right there, but I think you're better to wait for the reversal pattern, which comes here. But you already got your close outside, and there it is. Look how it gapped over that trend line again, working up through there. And it's right back into that resistance area, and you kind of stalled there. So I don't think you want to get long there either. If you did, it would have worked. You could almost make that one green, but I really don't like it because it's into that previous resistance. And you got a lot of stems right there. Then it shoots back down, and what does it do? It bounces right off this line again. I like going long there. That is a second entry long. Notice the new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. And it's also like a little drop. There's like a little midline in there between here almost as well. And so it's like a little drop. But again, it holds. Notice how it holds inside that previous support. Now that's about the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about the 5th test of it. I really thought we'd take on off then, but guess what? It comes down right off there. Now you got a second entry short. Notice that new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. And where is it coming off? Right off that resistance up there. So you figure coming back down to here, and it does, and it actually breaks lower. It's tempting to go long right there. And this is a second entry short. Notice the new low, pull back first entry, pull back second. And it's also a failed second entry long because you got a new high double top here. So that's like a new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. So it's a failed second entry long. That's why you got to be careful of getting in the middle on a tight range like that. You want to make sure you can get in off the edges or the failed breaks. And we do fail below here, but you don't get a very good setup bar. I think you're better off to wait. Notice how look at the closes again. Look at how bearish that bar is, and it breaks below and turns and goes right up out the other side. And so you get a chance to get long right there with enough room to get out. And sometimes when you get those failed break lowers, failed breaks lower, or a failed break lower, I guess is probably the better way to word that. You catch those lows, just like we did here. And if you caught this move, you could ride this all the way up till you got your break or a new high, or until whenever. Or you could have just exited once we got your break here. So that's a great setup. And then you get your failed second entry short right here, and it's a form of a second entry long because you got a new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It doesn't break higher right there, but on a smaller chart it would. It's another one of those hidden ones. If that doesn't make sense, do not worry about it. Forget I said it, because technically on this chart it's a first entry long. It's a little bit more advanced for some of the people that have been doing this a little longer. And notice where it bounces. That previous resistance line running across there has now acted as support, and look how it's closing above that line, and that's what you want to see. But that's also that reversal pattern that shoots right through the EMA, pulls back, bounces off the EMA. There's actually a shorter term trend line running up about exactly where that arrow is, so you can see that. But it doesn't really fit well on the other side. So I ended up going with the spiking channel. I like the spiking channel. So, and again, there's a breakout pullback long here, and that's kind of the same thing. There is a lower low here, and this is a failed second entry short. But look what would have happened if you'd taken. There's not much room to get out there. This is more sideways, even though we're still going up. This late in the afternoon, right in the lunch hour, I just don't see a good chance to enter that. Um, I think you need to get a better entry down here, and notice you do. You get 2 legs down, and look at that reversal type bar right there. Um, we're probably going to test this high, and notice where it bounces once again right off that. It's like another test of that. Now you got your double test of it. Once we tested it there, and then double tested it. So you tested that line for a third time across there, and that's a reversal bar. So I like that for a long, and then it drops down and looks like it's going to reverse. But notice you don't have a new high in place yet. We're probably going to get a new high, and I had some concern that maybe this was two-tiered, and notice how if you drop that down, it fits down there. So I'm not convinced that this wasn't 2 tiers, like so, and it does look like it. But I always drag this line down just in case off these lows, in case it does bounce, and you can see it closed. Look how everything closed inside that. So that gave you another reason to like this trade right here as well. And that's not the most bullish bar, so that's the reason I drew it green. It closed up in its upper 2/3, but you're probably going to push one more leg up at the minimum to test that high, but it actually continues to go a little bit higher. And so maybe this was the channel. It fits. It looks valid to me. It's been tested multiple times until you get your break. And of course, we didn't get a retest of it, but it's so late in the day we don't have time. So the market closed. But yeah, a little slower today, a little less volatility. Maybe the volatility is going to slow back down. This feels more normal actually. What we've had lately has been very volatile, and it's kind of been that way for a while actually. Although that's not really the way, the market. This is more of a normal market like what we had today. Feels really slow and methodical compared to what we've been looking at. But you can see there just wasn't a whole lot of movement. But we're right around that 2,000. We're actually above it all day today for the first time. So maybe it's going to hold and we'll work higher again. Um, this market just won't quit. No matter how bad the sell-off is, it always seems to come back. So we didn't get one of those super rallies. We did have a couple of big rally days in there, but we didn't get one of those super rallies that we've gotten sometimes in the past when we sold off pretty hard like that. But all the same, we've bounced back pretty strongly. So um, anyway, not much else we can say about today. It's really just a range day. Actually, if you look at the open, we pretty much traded up all day um, from the open on. We actually opened right in here, so we did. We moved down, and then for the 2/3 of the day, we probably, or maybe even 3/4, we traded up for the day. A little bit of sideways in here as well. Just nothing real exciting about today. But you have to see what's going on here. This might have been, especially when we start going sideways here, you got to quickly find the highs and lows of these ranges and play those highs and lows. Otherwise, you get caught in the middle here and you get in trouble because you don't have enough room to get out before you get back to the high or the low. So anyway, needless to say, I'm going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm probably going to take it spring break here this week, and school's out, and my kids are out of school. I'm probably going to take a couple of days off, but it'll probably be later in the week. Instead of just taking Friday this week, I'll probably take Thursday, and I may take Wednesday, but I'm probably going to come in and trade tomorrow. So we'll definitely have a chart lesson tomorrow. We'll just kind of play the rest of the week by ear. So hope you had a good trading day. But we'll call it a day for today, and we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.